Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Average Discussion. Thank you for joining me here today in Studio Silverado. Today is Wednesday, February 21st. Let me double check that. Yep, February 21st. It's about 40 degrees here just outside the Salt Lake City area. That's a little overcast day. It looks like it rained a little bit last night. Hopefully we get some more today. I think we're getting a lot of the residuals from whatever's happened in there in California with those atmospheric rivers that just popped up out of nowhere, but apparently have been a thing for a while. So yeah, it's been a little wet around here lately. It's working out pretty good. I haven't done anything this week, partially because of my own motivation, and also partially because work kind of got crazy yesterday, but no big deal. It is what it is. I've been trying to do at least Monday through Thursday, to stay active. But life is life, and things just came up. But either way, I'm back. I'm here. Not going anywhere. Just got a little delayed. Let's see. Normally I talk about, the news and stuff like that, which I do plan to get into a few things today, but I want to highlight something. So for me in my personal life, my son, he's a senior this year, one of my sons, my oldest son, and he's done football and basketball all 4 years that he's been there. It's been quite a wild ride, and all that has kind of come to an end. And so it really ends quite abruptly, like you have moments to sit back and kind of reflect on it and realize like how big of a part of your life that it's been and how enjoyable it's been. You get to watch the ups, the downs, and as a parent, obviously you want the best for your kids. You always want the best for your kids. And even for us as parents, it's like one of those things where it's like you want to have their backs, but like this is their journey, their fight. They've got to go through and do these things, and and that's stressful all in itself. And so I can't even imagine. I mean, I can imagine because I've been through similar things, right? But like I can't even imagine, the stuff that was going through these kids' heads and stuff like that. So I've just always tried to be supportive and try to be there and give what I hope is good guidance, But either way, we've got one more little thing to probably do to commemorate it. He's got his basketball banquet that'll be sometime in the near future, I imagine. But we just had the football banquet for the season that ended, November-ish, somewhere around there. And I want to highlight a few things. One, I want to highlight, it's not all the seniors, because, I don't have a personal relationship with all of them, but there's a handful of them that I want to use whatever little bit of platform I have, to honor them and show them some recognition. So, number 30, Aiden Bishop, running back. I think they played him at defensive back sometimes. Hey, dude, congratulations. I'm glad you stuck through it. I'm sure it couldn't have been easy. So I just want to tell you that it's been an honor watching you grow and getting to live those ups and downs with you. So, congratulations to you. 16, Connor Horrocks. Same thing, man. Like, you got injured at the beginning of the season. There was a lot of hopes and dreams coming into this season, and that had to be crushing. So I'm glad you stuck with your team, and as hard as that probably was, I think you probably tried your best to be as helpful as you could, man. At least I didn't hear any different. So congratulations to you, man. And it's the same. It's been an honor to watch you grow through the ups and downs. It's just been great and fun. Number 11, Jack Hendricks. Came out of nowhere, kicked it up the receiver notch. Oh, by the way, Connor did running back and defensive end, I believe it was. I could be wrong on that. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but he really did well at that defensive end because he's quick and he likes to hit people, and it was good to watch that. I've actually posted some videos of it. Yeah, man, it was great. So I'm sorry, but back to number 11, Jack Hendricks, wide receiver. I'm pretty sure that's all he really. I think he did some defense last year, if I'm not mistaken. But this year he was primarily just doing receiver stuff. He had some great big catches, and he was definitely. If he wasn't getting the ball, he was a good distraction for other people to get the ball, and that's equally as important. And then obviously Jack and my son, they played basketball together. Jack did phenomenal in basketball. He was there. He was a point guard for him, and I know that the kid's got talent, but he did better than I imagined he would. And so kudos to you, man, for growing into that role. We'll talk more about that, I suppose. But let's see, what, 55, right? 55? I could be wrong on that, Dagan. I'm sorry if I'm wrong on your number. Please punch me in the kidneys or something. Well, I wouldn't do that because I'll punch it back. But Dagan Heron, he did, what was it, left tackle? And then he would do the defensive line, left guard maybe. I can't remember. You'll have to correct me, man. Either way, he played offensive line. He did a great job. He was a great mentor to a lot of other players. My younger son as well, because my younger son plays the offensive line. I know he's taught him a few things. I don't know how close that working relationship is, but I know he's a good mentor to a lot of people. Just great, man. Like when I started watching that kid, he was doing running back stuff and linebacker stuff, and then he went to the line. Worked out great. And then obviously number 33, my son. Well, we'll get back. I'm going to save my son for last because it's my podcast. I can be selfish. 62, Damian Nelson. Hey, man, I'm glad you stuck with it. I know your mind was up and down. You're a very emotional individual in the sense of you say what's on your mind. And that can be great, and that could also be bad. And I think you learned some of that, and you've grown from that. So either way, I'm glad you stuck with it. For those who don't know, he did sign on with Snow College here in Utah. So good luck to you, sir, as you go out on that endeavor. You got a support group back here if you ever need anything. I'm sure you already know that. So congratulations to them. And then obviously, last but definitely not least in my mind, number 33, Keegan, my son, Keegan Kinsman. I'm so proud of you, dude. You had a ton of reasons to shut down, and you didn't. You stayed with it, even though I know it wasn't easy. I know that for a fact. I know the struggles that you went through mentally. You stuck with it. You were as supportive as you could be. And when you were asked to do your job, you went and you did your job. And that's all I've ever asked you to do as your dad. And I am so proud of you. You are better than I ever was at your age. You're better. You're far better. You're a better person. You're a better athlete. And though the foundation wasn't you, everything that you built upon after that was on you. Obviously you had people help you along the way, right? Show you things and this and that. But that desire, that comes from you. Those are things that come directly from you. And I'm super proud to be your dad and to have watched the ups, the downs, the joy, the pain, the confidence, the doubt, all those things. Because all those things are going to make you who you are in the future. And I think it's going to be a very bright future. I think it's going to be a bright future for all those kids that I named. There was more seniors than that, guys. But like I said, I don't really have personal relationships with them. So I don't know a whole lot about them outside of just what they did on the field. But those ones in particular, they've been a part of my life for the last 4 years, and I hope to be a part of their lives for many more years to come. But if that's not the case, I'm super grateful that I was able to share this with them and watch as they become great young men. So yeah, you know, Grantsville High School class of 2024. That's a handful of the seniors, the ones that I know, that I feel like I've interacted with. There was more than that. But there's a whole school program that can give them recognition. This is my way of showing recognition on whatever little platform I have. I'm super proud of those kids, every single one of them. Because here's the truth, man. You know, they kind of got shafted. They came in at a time where the current team was doing really well. And they got some opportunities, you know what I mean? Like, some of them got some opportunities to get in on the varsity roster a little early. Like, I know Keegan, he started his varsity experience with special teams, you know? So there was options here and there, and they were a part of that success. Obviously they don't internalize it probably the same way, because it wasn't, you know, they weren't playing every down, but they were a part of that success. And so I hope they never downplay that. You know, everybody plays a pivotal role. Some roles are just bigger than others. Some of that's based off of skill. Some of that's based off of just timing. Right? Excuse me. But, you know, so they come into that, and then that lingers over for about 3 years. And here comes their senior year, and it's their show. But the problem was, outside of a couple of them, you know, they were never the guys. And so now they're supposed to be the guys. And I think there was a lot of pressure put on them that they weren't necessarily prepared for, because they didn't have that mentorship for it going into it. And so they tried to cram it into, you know, a couple months worth of time. And I don't think it worked out well, you know, and the expectations were not unreal, but they probably weren't expected in the right manner. This is just from an outside looking in, and some of the things that I've heard, right? Because it is political, right? You know, what was it, 2 years ago? No, not this year, not last year, the year before. Yeah, they won the state championship, and then they went to the playoffs. They ended up losing in the playoffs, and then this year, it was the new team, right? And when you have that kind of success, and you've got this community of people that pretend to be, I'm just gonna say it, that pretend to be about the kids, that pretend to be about the growing, the program. When it boils down to it, there's a shit ton of selfish people within this town, all pretending to be supportive. And if you want any more evidence of the fact, they can't bring themselves to cheer for the team when the team's losing. I've gone to, I don't even know how many games. Somebody could probably tell me, but I just know that I go to games, because especially since I've had 2 on the team, right? I was traveling at least once a week. I would go to games, and then for my younger son, and then we would have the other games here in town or something, right? Or vice versa. I've been to a lot of games. And if that's one thing that I know that I've seen from this community, it's that when times are hard, their support is even harder to find. That's just my opinion, and I'm basing that off what I've seen. And when you have a program that just had all this success, and you've got this class coming in that has a lot of ambition, they've got a lot of talented players too. I don't want to diminish them, right? Like, they've got good talent coming in, but they've got a lot of hopes and dreams coming in as well, right? And the whole community is kind of running off the coattails of the success that they had. That creates a hostile environment, I think, for the coaches. And they get into what I've started calling panic mode, right? And they need that win so bad, because they need to shut these people up, right? And I think as a result of that, they do things that are sometimes out of character, that they do things that are to appease the masses sometimes. And I think that it's not always the most thought out solutions, right? And I really think that's what they battled with this year. You know, they struggled pretty hard. There was a lot of, they weren't sure who was going to be where. The quarterback situation especially was really just kind of hit or miss, and I think that got prolonged a little bit too long. But at the same time, I also don't know that they could have done it any sooner, right? I think they made a really great choice that was made easier by another kid that we're invested in as a family. He ended up getting injured, and I think that made the decision a little bit easier. But they were really struggling with where to find these pieces, I think. And it was just kind of a shit show, to say the least, right? And there was a lot of emotion. There was a lot of talk, a lot of bickering, right? But if I have to be honest, like, yes, that was rough to watch. I think they turned out to have a pretty decent year. Now, they didn't have championship success. They didn't have regional success, right? But I think that they had a pretty decent year. There's nothing that they should be ashamed of. They took a bunch of kids that didn't have that cohesion. There was obviously kids that had played together, but there was a bunch of kids that didn't have that cohesion. A lot of new blood coming in. A lot of kids that weren't those guys for 3 years that are now expected to be those guys. And you're trying to mix all this together. And I think they ended up having a pretty good dang season, in my opinion. I mean, you had a complete roster change for the most part, plus or minus a few different places, right? There was only a few people that stayed in the same positions that they'd been in the years prior, right? So with all those things factored in, you know, obviously going through it, you're not looking at that perspective, right? But obviously hindsight's 2020. So I think that they did really well. And, you know, it was hard to sit there and watch, you know, the hopes and dreams of some of these kids, especially my son, kind of be pushed to the back burner while they figured this out. That hurts, you know, but at the end of the day, it's his journey, and he worked through it in his own way. You know, he may not be okay with a lot of the things that went down, but he managed it in a way that, as his dad, I'm extremely proud of, and I respect him for, because I don't know that I could have handled it the same way that he did, especially when I was his age. I don't even know that I can handle it that well now. So he did great, and I'm super proud of him. But I tell you that story because the head coach for the program is not coming back next year. And from what I've heard, and this is just complete rumor and speculation, but from what I've heard, he was fired. And I don't know the reasons why. I don't even know that it's my business to know the reasons why. But at this point, I'm curious, because it really doesn't make sense to me, right? Like, my kids have never come to me and said really anything negative about these coaches, right? Now, don't get me wrong. They've come home and they've been upset about things, right? Like, they had us do this at a game, we should have done this, or we had this going on at practice, we should have done this, blah, 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 right? But they've never come back and been like, I don't want to play football because of these coaches, or I don't want to go to practice because these coaches are just that bad, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, they've never had those types of complaints to me. So that's all I have to base it off of. And so, though I can imagine that there's probably things that don't jive with other families, because listen, I look into a lot of religion. I have my own beliefs. I have my own, I guess you could call it faith, right? But it's not your status quo. It's not your generic, right? So I'm not naive enough to think that there wasn't some things that didn't jive well with certain people within the community. But I also think that those people are fakers in that, and that it's not really who they are. They just use it as leverage when they need it. And they wanted this guy out anyways. That's what I think, and I'm going to say it out loud. I think they wanted him out because they feel like they could do a better job. That's my personal opinion. I don't have anything to back that up with outside of just being in the stands for the last 4 years. And that sucks, man, because, I don't know the coaches personally. I feel like I know them pretty well because I've been around for the 4 years, right? And I've talked to some of them more than others. But I don't know them personally. I don't hang out with them in my spare time. So maybe it's a naive or biased perspective on my part, but I don't think that they were all that bad. I don't have any issue with holding people to expectations. And I bring that up because in the coach's speech, he kind of mentioned something about that. And, I've said it for a long time within the confines of my walls of my house that this class coming in, because my younger son's a part of that class, right? Well, he's a sophomore this year, so it's going to be his junior year. So that class in particular, there's a lot of cocky, arrogant, shithead kids that have a ton of potential, and they're not terrible kids, but they're very cocky and arrogant. They have a ton of potential, ton of talent as well. But they have really piss poor attitudes and behaviors, in my opinion. And I'm not saying that makes them bad people. Okay. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that that's a layer that I don't think that has really been a factor for the last couple of years. Obviously there's always kids with, shitty behaviors and bad attitudes, right? But I think the amount of them coming into that is substantially higher in that age group. And there's always the parents too that are overcritical, but there's so many of them in that age group that I find it extremely ironic. Because if you listen to my show at all, I always talk about the timing of everything is extremely interesting to me. And here we are, where that class is going to be coming into their last 2 years. And now we're making this push. I don't, for the life of me, I do not believe that it was anything other than parents pushing this guy out of town. That's how I feel. And until somebody gives me something otherwise to prove it, that's what I think happened. I don't think it's a situation of abuse or anything like that. I think they may be saying that, like verbal abuse or something. But, in my opinion, I've heard a few of the things that apparently were said, and I know one of them was a big deal. They were getting their ass kicked. They were getting their ass kicked, and apparently the coach went in at halftime and he said, you guys are taking it in the ass and acting like you like it, or something like that. Right? And fuck, that was a good representation of what was happening. Like, they were getting molested on the field, guys. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, they were getting their ass kicked, and the coach, from what I understand, pretty much told them that. And that didn't sit well with the parents of some, right? And I don't know that that's, the situation that caused the downfall, right? But I do know that it was a problem. I did hear about it. There was this whole public apology thing done that I don't think was necessary. If it was an issue, it should have remained internal. There was no need for there to be a mass email apology. I felt like that was pretty fucked up, because now people who weren't involved were now all of a sudden involved, and it didn't need to be a thing. So, point being, the reason I bring that up though is because, man, I tell you what, if that's what you cannot take, then I strongly encourage you not to let your poor little babies join the military. or any kind of blue collar field, or yeah, like I would strongly encourage that, because I don't give a shit what anybody in the offices say. When you're on the ground, there's a whole different world out there, right? And so, I think that's what we got out here, is we got a bunch of office people that work in that industry, but they're not out there on the ground doing the grunt work, and they don't understand that, right? Or they think that it doesn't need to be a thing, and maybe they're right. You know what I'm saying? My personal opinion, it needs to be a thing, because the world's not all fucking cupcakes and rainbows. You're not going to be treated nicely when you're not doing your expectations. In certain fields, it's going to be treated even worse than others, right? Like, you don't hit your production quota, okay, you're probably not going to get talked to like that. But you're in the oil field and you're not doing your job, you're going to be talked to like that. You're on the battlefield or training to go into battle, and you're not doing what's expected of you, you're going to be talked to like that, if not arguably far worse. So just my tidbits of putting it out there for people who, if you're listening to this and that kind of stuff upsets you, I get that. And that's why I say, like, whatever happened, it should have stayed localized and internal, and it wasn't. I think that they handled that extremely poorly. If that is something that offends you, then you should bring it up. You should talk to them. Give them the opportunity to correct it and apologize to you directly. It shouldn't have to be a public fucking thing. So that's just my opinion on that. But I think that they did all right. I think that they did good, and they had the building blocks set up to build onto it, and then this kind of came out of left field. My 15-year-old, he was starting the workout programs, and then just randomly they just stopped, and that spread to the rumor mill. So I don't know, it's interesting, and that's why I say I hope that every one of these seniors, I hope you don't take that personal, man, and you don't beat yourselves up with thinking you could have done more, because the truth of it is that you guys did a lot. You did a lot. You suffered through a lot of things that you didn't need to suffer through because of situations that were out of your control. That's really what it boils down to. And through it all, you guys remained good people. And that's the most important thing. Because listen, at the end of the day, it's Grantsville High School 3A football. So, you let me know who's in the NFL playing that from Grantsville High School. No, there's probably more of them working at the local Walmart distribution center. So don't beat yourselves up. Take pride in what you were able to accomplish, the growth that you were able to make personally, collectively, and the things you were able to learn. And then remember those that helped you and continue that, man. That's really all you can do. And then go out and have a great fucking life, dude. Like, live it up. Have fun. You literally can do whatever the hell you want. Literally. It's on you. So please don't beat it up. But that's my my senior story for my son's football team. That's it. That's the... How long did I even talk on that? Let's see. 29 minutes. I almost did a whole episode just shooting the shit on that. So this one will probably be a little longer. Hope you guys are here for it. Hope you're along for the ride. I am sitting in this parking lot watching all the people trying to eat Bettos for breakfast, and they're not open yet. Saw one of the kids from the basketball team. He really had a hard time parking his mini truck. A lot of butthurt people coming in. They look at me, they're confused, and then they just turn around and leave. It's kind of funny. But so let's get into some other stuff, right? I did my soapbox thing, my proud dad moment, proud fan. Did that. So let's get into some stuff that maybe might pique the interest a little bit more. So Chicago, the city of Chicago, is suing oil companies for causing climate change, and it points to the 1995 heat wave. Now, I didn't read through a lot of this. If I was the oil companies, I would countersue Chicago for using oil. Like, how the fuck are you gonna sue me for the shit you used, right? And I get it, they're probably preaching that because of all the oil and burning that it created, atmospheric problems that caused the heat wave in 1995. Got it. So they're probably thinking like globally or nationally. But if I'm the oil companies, I'm just countersuing the city of Chicago. Oh my goodness, the city of Chicago. I'm countersuing them for the use of oil in 1995 and the years prior. Because, like, come on, what are we doing? Like, we all collectively have bought into this idea of oil. Okay, like, you can't. Oh my goodness, you want to sue the oil companies? Sue them for I don't know, something cost related. You know what I'm saying? Sue them for anything else. But oh my goodness, that's the world we've come to, though. So I thought I'd bring that up. So a guy named Ben Crump says ending crime in U.S. is as easy as changing, quote, definition of crime. Dr. Swain says that's ludicrous. Now, I don't know who either one of these two people were, but they listed their names as if somebody I'm supposed to know. But from what I understand, after reading through the article, Mr. Crump, Ben Crump, is a political rights activist, and Dr. Swain is a doctor of some kind, whose goal is to, eliminate some of the problems in black communities, right? So they're both kind of what you would think would be on the same team, right? But you have Ben Crump here saying that, well, you want to fix the crime rate, then just change what's considered a crime. Well, yeah, no shit, but those things are considered a crime for a reason. But he argues obviously that laws are put in place to specifically target African American people, and this Dr. Swain lady, she tries to add some clarity to that. But so if you didn't know, though, that can solve all of our problems, guys, if we just change the definition. So let's apply that to everything else. It's not, we're not creating climate change. It's just weather. Problem solved. Go back to your lives, guys. Problem solved. We changed everything. Ice isn't going to melt no more because we're not calling it global warming. We're just calling it weather. It's not going to warm anymore because we took the warming part out. So you're welcome. You can just mail me my Nobel Peace Prize. It's okay. I don't need a ceremony or anything. But there it is, done and done. But there was one thing that I wanted to highlight from the article, and he said, let's see. Change the definition of crime. If you get to define what conduct is going to be made criminal, you can predict who the criminals are going to be. No shit. No shit. I'm sorry. Is there something I'm missing from this? Yes, I'm well aware that if I decide that drugs are criminal, then yes, I can actively predict that drug abusers and drug sellers are going to be criminals. That's like, am I missing something? I'm really lost at this moment. That's why we have laws. Like, we collectively decide that we don't want certain things to be a part of our society, right? Yes, I'm well aware. If I put a law out there that all red vehicles are now illegal, then I know anybody who drives around in a red vehicle is going to be a criminal. Yes, I'm well aware of that. It doesn't mean that, unless I base that off of, okay, hold on. Let's try to break this down, because I am struggling with this here, okay? If I look at that and I say, I got a bunch of data and it says that, 97 or 70% of African Americans drive red vehicles. 30% of all other races drive them. And I want to put a law out there that all red vehicles are illegal. Then yes, in essence, I get where he's coming from, if that's the case, right? Because now I've created a law where the largest percentage of the demographic around that happens to be a specific culture, right? Okay, so I get that part. That's obviously a exaggeration and an unrealistic scenario that I just utilized to try to understand where he's coming from. And it's also not even the same playing field as things like violent crime and drug abuse. So the correlation, I don't think, can exist. So I guess if he's trying to suggest that these laws are only criminal because of situations like I just played out, then okay, then all I'm asking for is some more information, right? Because I don't have access to that, and I can understand how, if that's the case, then yeah, we kind of got a problem, right? Like if we're making laws that we know are going to target a specific group of people or based off of ethnicity, not behavior, then that's a problem. It is, because we should be attacking the behavior, and it should not matter the ethnicity of an individual, because we're targeting the behavior, right? So if there's something out there, and there very well may be, like it's America, we've done a lot of weird shit here, then all I'm asking for is some more information. But based off of what this article says, and I get it, it's an article, it's not a fact sheet, I got that, right? But based off of this, what a fucking ridiculous thing to point out. Like, yes, you can predict who the criminals are going to be of that law. It's going to be all the people driving red cars. So, I don't know. I'm super stuck on that one. Just thought I would share that with you guys. In English news, apparently I don't know. I think it's something local, GBN. Something local to UK. I'm not really sure. But I stumbled across this, and it said the king is taking herbs and potions. If you don't recall, he's apparently got cancer. Okay, so the king will not be one for chemotherapy. He has always argued against it. He's a great believer in natural herbs, potions, and things like that. So it is kind of nice to know that the king of England feels the same way that a lot of, I think, general people are starting to come into. The last 5 to 10 years for sure has been this big push for naturalized medicine, because we're tired of pharmaceuticals, man. Obviously they've helped a lot of people, but they cause a lot of problems too, right? And it's I guess it's one of those things where it's a double-edged sword. But which I ordered my double-edged sword. I'm gonna put it in the back window of my truck, but I'm just kidding. I didn't order a sword, but maybe I should. So anyways, I think that there's been a big push for that, and I think that some people are doing it right, while others are just, they're way off in left field. It's kind of like the whole meditation thing. You got some people who tell you the honest truths about it, and then you got other guys that are like, yeah, you can tap into the same network of energy and knowledge that Nikola Tesla did, and you can change the world, and yet none of them have changed the world. But then there's the guys that are like, no, you can, if you're having a panic attack or anxiety, you can center yourself, you can control yourself, do these breathing exercises, right? Those are the people that I think are doing it right. And then, and that's how I feel with medications. I think there's certain medications where the intentions were pure, and it's just become such a global economy, especially here in the United States, that they got a pill for everything. And I don't think that's always done right, and there's a lot of side effects attributed with it, a lot of things that change in the body's chemistry as a result of taking them, that I think there's some people out there that absolutely need that stuff, but then I think that there's people that needed them for a short period of time, and then they just stay on them. And then I also think that there's people that probably could have benefited from doing other things first, but we don't want to work hard for the results sometimes, and it's easier to just give me a fucking pill. I think that happens far too frequently. So I don't know. So, like I was saying, I think it's interesting to know that the King of England is on that same trip. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, this one was pretty interesting. I came across this one yesterday because I did plan on doing a show yesterday. I just got tied up with some things at work. But so the GOP-backed defamation bill in Florida will destroy conservative radio host warns. Now, I don't know the gist of this bill or whatever, but basically it's to make it easier to attack members of the media or anybody who, say, like myself, feels defamed by something that is said. And this is the interesting part that I thought was really interesting. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh, yeah. So the bill cracks down on the use of anonymous sources, saying there is a rebuttal presumption that if a publisher said something false about a public figure, that can firmly be debunked that the publisher acted with actual malice. It allows any reasonable person to sue those who use artificial intelligence against them in false light. Additionally, the bill allows the plaintiff to file a lawsuit in any county as long as the alleged defamatory content was published on the internet. So it's kind of one of those things where I think I get where they're trying to do, because if I'm a journalist and I want to, I don't know the rules on this, so if somebody else knows this, please correct me if I'm wrong, but in my head, if I'm a journalist and I want to make somebody look bad, I say something completely off the wall and I just claim that it came from an anonymous source, right? Like, oh, I heard 42 years ago he touched, he touched a baby pig in the private parts or something like that, right? And then I just be like, that was according to an anonymous source who lived around this area in this time, blah, blah, blah. And it could be completely fucking false, but it creates this public image that he touches little pigs, right? So I want to feel like that's where this is coming from, but at the same time, I can't help but think, because there's a lot of people out there that just have opinions, that have thoughts, that express those thoughts, and myself is a prime example, right? And I'm not saying that that's always right. So I think it's very important that people who do these things emphasize the fact that, listen, I'm not saying that this is fact. Okay, what I'm saying is this is where my mind is going. This is how I'm interpreting it. This is what I'm thinking about. I think it's very important to make sure you reiterate that, because everybody has a responsibility on any public platform to understand the repercussions of what you may be doing, right? I need to know that it's very possible that somebody could full-heartedly believe something I say, right? And it's probably not likely. I've seen the stats on my podcast, but it's probably not likely. But that's a very real reality, right? And so if I present everything as this is without a doubt fact, then I'm doing harm, plain and simple. And I'm not saying that anybody has to feel the way that I feel. This is me expressing the way that I think about things. This is my opinions, all those things. It's completely irrelevant to a lot of the ways of the world. If there's things that you correlate with or you connect with, great. But I'm not saying you got to think what I think. In fact, I want to hear what you think. But so I think that bill, sorry guys, I had to open up the phone again, is meant to attack that more than it is meant to attack the anonymous sources that are defaming political public figures or whatever it was. But yeah, I also think that, again, timing is everything, right? Timing is everything, and this happens right before an election. And so when do you think the most hateful things about public figures is going to come to light? Now, right? Because they're campaigning, and win, lose, or draw, there's going to be a plethora of lawsuits after. It's so fucking annoying. Like, I really wish we could just not pick either one of those two. There's got to be a better option. There just has to be. I'm sorry. Like, I don't like either one of them. And that's not a popular opinion. So maybe it is. I think it's more popular than people give it credit to, but we just play along with the system, right? Here comes somebody else trying to get some food. Let's see. Oh, I think their lights are on though now. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. Timing is everything. It's very interesting. So the first Neuralink patient was able to control a mouse with his thoughts, according to Elon Musk. So they're putting these things in people's brains, and you're able to control devices and stuff with this link. No bullshit, guys. This is really happening. To be fair, I don't know that that sounds pretty fucking cool to me. So I don't know that I'm against that. I think it has really bad. I think it'll be really bad for probably like the first 50 years, but it'll probably get better as time goes on, and it'll be one of those things that just kind of is what it is. But that's really happening, guys. The guy had a surgery, seems to be doing well for all intents and purposes, and apparently he was able to control a mouse with his thoughts. I didn't see any science peer-reviewed papers on it, but according to Elon Musk, that really happened. So get ready for that. A teen in Indiana car wash, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it was pretty funny, sprays rude customer with water after lemonade thrown at her. So I did watch the little video clip. It's one of those automated car washes where and so you got the employee at the front guiding you in, and they're spraying the car down as you come in. Well, for whatever reason, I guess the window's down. I don't know if the person's just being an asshole or just was going to ask a question or what, but they didn't like the fact that they were getting wet. So she throws her cup of water or lemonade or what, or this says it was lemonade, I guess. Throws it on the kid working. The kid just puts the nozzle in the window and just soaks the shit out of her. And I really hope that girl got a raise and an Employee of the Month plaque. But the reality is she probably got fired because that's the way it goes. You can treat people like shit and then ruin their careers. That's the way it goes. And not that this girl's life's over if she loses that job. But either way, that's the way it goes. We're all big and bad until we get fucking picked on enough, and then we want to go cry to the bosses or mommy and daddy, right? Because you were nice and tough when you threw your fucking lemonade, but then you got soaked, and now you want, I'm going to get you fired. That's the most pathetic. That is literally the demise of American strength right there, witnessed in a car wash. That's my opinion. That is my opinion. But I really do hope she got Employee of the Month. Oops, sorry guys. Dropped the whole recording device. So that probably sounded fun. But I do. Again, I hope she got Employee of the Month, because that is epic in my opinion. I used to work at a truck wash, and you don't get paid. Well, we got paid pretty good. I shouldn't really say that. I think for the time and what we were doing, I think we got paid pretty well. Obviously, you can't make a living off that, but when you're a high school kid, it was pretty good, and it was fun. You got to meet a lot of cool people. But man, like that industry, there's a lot of fucking rude people. But I thought it was just because I was working with semi trucks. We would clean semi trucks. But I think it's probably it's irrelevant because people are just assholes. I don't know. I'm trying to reflect on this kind of stuff, guys, because like I opened this whole thing up with the senior speech and all that. There's the senior talk, right, for my son and all that. And I'm just reflecting on a lot of things right now, man. And I'm really making a concerted effort. Like I don't want to be those people. Like I don't want to freak out at you through a drive-thru, which like I don't think I really do that kind of stuff. But every now and then I do do let it slip, like my frustrations. And what I'm learning is that it's never even really related to the damn people that I'm dealing with in that moment. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what makes it even worse, because it's like, I'm frustrated with this person, or I'm making snide comments or sideways comments to these people because I'm pissed off about something that's not even their fucking fault. You know what I'm saying? And I'm definitely not guilty in having said, or I've never thrown a drink on a person that I know of. Maybe I did back in my drinking days. I wouldn't doubt it then, but now, as a mature adult, whatever that means, and I don't even know if I can classify myself as a mature adult, I know I haven't done that. I'm more likely to throw my drink at one of my coworkers. Ooh, you know what? I might do it. If you listen to the show, you know I've had to do like stakeouts on our dumpster bins to make sure the homeless people aren't getting in there. Because actually, here's a very real reason why, right? Because I've always said, like, I don't really care if they take the shit. It's all going to the trash, recycling, whatever. It's just the company we do work for makes money off of it, so they don't want people in there, is what I knew there was more to it, but like I thought that was the reason why we were making a big stink about it, right? So I've always felt it was kind of dumb and annoying, but the most annoying part was always just like, it was always the same people. And you're like, dude, come on, man. Like, how many fucking times do I gotta tell you, don't come around here, man? Like, you got us a few times. Great. Move on. Find another one. Like, please just stop coming here, because I don't want to make this a big deal, right? I'd probably throw a drink at those fucking guys. Not gonna lie. But apparently we almost dropped some shit on some of them the other day because they were in there, and forklift guys went out there to dump some stuff in there like they're supposed to, and there were dudes in there, you know what I mean? And this is some heavy shit sometimes, and yeah, it could have been really bad, but I don't even know. Oh yeah, I was just talking about how I'd throw a drink at them. I'd throw a drink at those guys for sure, 1,000%. Yeah, no, if like I would pee in a bottle and throw that at them. Like, I'm so sick of dealing with those guys, because it's not that I care about it in general, right? Or that I even have a problem with them on a personal level. We've reached a point where it's like, there's no misunderstanding anymore. Like, this is clear, this is evident. You're just doing it, and now I have to continue to emphasize this, and I don't want to do this any more than you want me to do this. So can you please just go somewhere else, please? Like, we're on to it, we've got it. Just go somewhere else, please. But here we are, several months into this, and it's the same people over and over again. So yeah, I'd definitely throw some at them for sure. Anyways, I'm almost an hour into this. If you have the opportunity to be influential in somebody's life in a positive way, I strongly urge you to try to take it. It's I think it means a lot more the older somebody gets, right? Because when you're young, I don't think you really realize how many people tried to help you out, right? And then as you kind of get older and you start to look at things and reflect on stuff, you kind of appreciate it a little bit more. And I think that's okay. That's part of life. That's how we grow. That's how we adapt to this ever-changing world, right? But I think the older that I've got, the more I personally value having been a part of that stuff. I always try to at least just be there. If I can't help, right? If I can't help you improve whatever it is that you're doing, because I don't have the skill or the knowledge or whatever, I at least try to be there for people. Try. And what I've learned is that even that is somewhat selective, right? Because I think there's people out there, regardless of age, that are more receptive to it. And then there's ones that don't really think that they need it. And maybe they don't, because maybe they're a little bit more headstrong or whatever, right? So I can't do the same thing to everybody, because not everybody's receptive of it, right? But the ones that are, I try to I try to do what I think is the right thing. I try to be there for them. And it has made me feel a lot better about myself. Because I'm not going to lie to anybody. I think I had good tendencies and good qualities, but I didn't emphasize them when I was younger. I was not the best person. And I've really tried to change that narrative within myself, because I think I've changed it, on a broad level. If anybody judges me for it, it's me, right? And I really feel like being that type of person has helped me feel better about myself. And I'd like to say that it just comes natural. And I think sometimes it does, for sure. But I also understand the benefit, right? And I also understand that I can help with those situations. I can be positive in those situations because of the experiences that I've gone through in my life. The fuck the traumas, the dark places I've been and got out of, right? Like, there's a lot of lessons learned in that apply to a plethora of problems. And so I tried to use those, because if not, what was the point? Just for me to suffer? Because no. And so that's why I say, I encourage you, if you have the opportunity to be influential in somebody's life, I strongly suggest you take it. And I think you're going to feel really good about yourself. And they're going to probably be grateful for it. Maybe not initially, but down the road. That's my advice to help humanity. So just try to be a little bit better each day. But that doesn't mean you have to take shit for people, though. Just saying. I'll throw a bottle at you. But anyways, as always, guys, you can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/average discussion. Instagram, average discussion. Is it called X? I'm not really sure what it's called. I feel weird saying I'm on X. I feel like I should be touching myself and dancing to some electronic music or something. But on X, at AVG discussion. That's the @ AVG discussion. You like the show, don't like the show, want to add some comments, maybe some topics that you would like covered on the show, or just thoughts in general, bitches, gripes, complaints, death threats, whatever it is you want to do, you can email them to averagediscussion@gmail.com. That's all one word, averagediscussion@gmail.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, you should see the entire list of it. So if you're curious about any of the spelling, you'll see that right there. Hey, as always, guys, please take care of yourself. Please take care of each other. I hope you have a great day. Until next time, I'm out.